Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you today something that's often overlooked, something that lives quietly inside our thoughts, silently shaping our actions and ultimately our destiny. I call them hidden mindset traps. They're invisible, but they're powerful. And unless you identify and escape them, they'll block your path to success every single time. The scarcity trap is one of the most deceptive mindset limitations we face. It convinces you that there's never enough money, never enough opportunity, never enough time, never enough love. This belief doesn't just limit what you think is possible, it actively shapes how you behave. When you operate from scarcity, you act in fear. You hoard ideas instead of sharing them. You compete destructively instead of collaborating creatively. You settle for less because you believe that's all there is. This trap conditions your mind to live in a survival mode, not a success mode. True success operates on the principle of abundance. The universe is not short on resources, it's only short on those who believe in their ability to tap into them. When you stop believing that someone else's gain is your loss, you step into a world where growth multiplies. The people who win aren't the ones who chase everything. They're the ones who create something of value, trusting that more will always come. Think of your thoughts as seeds. Scarcity plants weeds. Abundance plants. The shift begins not in your bank account, but in your belief system. If you believe the world is against you, you'll find evidence to support it. But if you believe opportunity is everywhere, your eyes will start to open. You'll notice doors that others walk past. You'll see possibilities where others see problems. You'll make room for growth instead of guarding what little you think you have. Scarcity is fear-based. It says there's only one shot, so don't take it unless you're sure. It says don't risk anything or you'll lose everything. But the truth is those who play it safe rarely rise. They stay stuck. The most powerful people in the world, those who build empires, start movements, create legacies, did not operate from fear of not having enough. They operated from the belief that more is possible, and they were willing to create it. If you've been operating from scarcity, it's time to challenge that thinking. It's not that you lack ability, you lack belief. It's not that opportunity has skipped you, it's that fear has blinded you to it. Shift from scarcity to sufficiency. Stop saying I can't afford it and start asking, how can I create it? Stop saying, I don't have time, and start deciding what's truly worth your time. Stop saying, there's not enough, and start believing there's more where that came from. Your life begins to expand the moment your mind does. Scarcity will convince you that you have to fight for crumbs. Abundance reminds you that you were born to bake the bread. You don't need to take someone else's share. You need to rise and take ownership of your calling. When you step out of scarcity, you'll stop envying others and start empowering yourself. You'll stop clinging to comfort and start building something meaningful. This is not just about money, it's about mindset. It's about waking up every day and knowing that success is not reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone who dares to believe that there's more. And the good news is that belief begins with a decision. Decide today, I will no longer live small because I think there's not enough. I will step into abundance. I will think big, give generously, and act boldly. Because the only thing that ever truly blocks success is the belief that success isn't meant for you. And that, my friend, is a lie you no longer have to believe. The I'm not ready trap is one of the most common and most destructive mindset barriers that hold people back from achieving their potential. It often wears the disguise of wisdom, patience, or caution. It sounds reasonable when it says, wait until you're more experienced or just a little more preparation. But beneath that voice is fear. Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. The problem is not in preparing. The problem is in postponing your life while you chase a version of perfection that doesn't exist. The truth is, nobody ever feels completely ready. Every successful person you see started when they were uncertain, unqualified, and unsure. They didn't wait until everything was aligned. They aligned themselves while they were moving. Readiness isn't a condition, it's a consequence. You become ready by doing. You gain clarity by acting. You grow your skills by showing up even when you don't feel prepared. The idea that you have to be fully confident before you begin is a lie. Confidence is a byproduct of experience, not a prerequisite for it. Think about how many dreams have been buried under the phrase, "not yet." How many businesses weren't started, books weren't written, talents weren't explored, relationships weren't pursued, all because someone believed they weren't ready. The cost of waiting is invisible, but it's very real. Every day you wait, the opportunity clock ticks. Life rewards movement, not hesitation. Even the smallest step in the direction of your purpose is better than standing still in fear. And let me be clear, preparation is important, but over-preparation can become a comfort zone in disguise. It gives you a false sense of progress while keeping you far from the battlefield where real growth happens. The most successful people live by a simple code. Start before you're ready. Take the meeting. Launch the idea. Apply for the job. Speak your truth. The first attempt might be messy, but messy progress is always better than perfect inaction. Starting before you're ready trains your mind to be adaptable. It forces you to learn in real time. You don't just acquire knowledge, you absorb wisdom. You don't just imagine solutions, you invent them on the go. When you move, life moves with you. Resources show up, connections are made, momentum is born, but none of that happens until you take that step. This trap also convinces you that readiness is a feeling. It's not. It's a choice. You decide that you're enough. You decide that now is your time. You decide that waiting is no longer serving you. The truth is, you're more ready than you think. You've survived every challenge so far. You've learned from every mistake. You've got strength in you that hasn't even been tested yet. Don't let the illusion of unpreparedness rob you of the life you're meant to live. There will never be a perfect time. Life won't pause until you feel confident. It's moving forward, and so should you. The future belongs to those who dare to begin. So if you're hearing that voice that says you're not ready, thank it, and then do it anyway. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, courageous, and committed. Because ready or not, your purpose is waiting. And the world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs a willing you. The victim trap is a mindset that convinces you life is happening to you instead of through you. It's subtle, seductive, and incredibly damaging. This trap says, it's not my fault. They did this to me. Or I can't succeed because of my past, my parents, my circumstances. While it may feel comforting to shift blame, living in the victim mindset strips you of your power. It locks you in a cage of excuses. And the worst part, that cage is built by your own beliefs. Every time you say you have no control, you surrender your ability to change. Life is not always fair. That's true. Pain, loss, injustice, they're real and they leave marks. But the difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is how they respond to those experiences. Victims react, victors respond. The victim mindset delays your growth because it teaches you to wait for rescue, for apology, for fairness. But waiting is not a strategy. Blaming is not a solution. Healing begins the moment you accept responsibility, not for what happened, but for what happens next. That's the real turning point. You may not be responsible for your trauma, but you are responsible for your transformation. Every successful person has experienced pain. What separates them is not a smoother path. It's the choice to rise above it. It's the moment they said, enough. I will not let my past define my future. The victim trap also distorts your self-picture. It conditions you to see yourself as powerless. And when you believe you have no power, you stop trying, you stop dreaming. You shrink your life to fit your wounds. That's not how you're meant to live. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. True empowerment begins with a hard truth. No one is coming to save you. Your life changes when you change it, not when you wait, not when others apologize, not when the world gets fair. It changes when you take ownership. Ownership is freedom. When you take ownership of your thoughts, your habits, your reactions, you reclaim your ability to design your life. You're no longer a puppet pulled by circumstances. You become the author of your own story, and in that role you get to rewrite the ending. The danger of the victim mindset is that it can even disguise itself as humility or realism. But what it really is, deep down, is fear. Fear of responsibility, fear of trying and failing, fear of facing truth. But here's the thing. The truth will not break you. It will build you. It will strip away the excuses and leave you with something stronger than blame. Belief. Belief that you can change, that you can rise, that you can win even with a wounded past. So if you catch yourself saying, why does this always happen to me? Pause. Change the question to, what can I learn from this? Or how can I grow through this? That shift changes everything. Life doesn't owe you fairness, but it offers you opportunity every single day. And it's up to you whether you see it or stay stuck. Don't live your life as a prisoner of blame. Break free by accepting full responsibility for your direction. Not because everything is your fault, but because you deserve the power to move forward. Victims stay in cycles. Leaders break them. And today you have a choice. Stay stuck in the story of what went wrong, or step into the chapter where you rise. The comparison trap is one of the most silent killers of joy and progress. It creeps in when you least expect it, often disguised as admiration or inspiration. But instead of motivating you, it paralyzes you. It starts with a scroll through social media, a glance at someone else's achievements, and suddenly, what you once felt good about begins to feel small. Comparison tells you you're behind, you're not enough, and you'll never catch up. It's toxic because it shifts your focus from your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop appreciating your growth, your pace, your milestones because someone else's path looks shinier. But the truth is, you cannot win at being someone else. You can only win by being fully, completely, and unapologetically you. Each person has a unique assignment. Your strengths, your timing, your calling, they're different for a reason. Imagine planting an oak tree and a sunflower at the same time. In just weeks, the sunflower blooms. But the oak takes years. Does that mean the oak is behind? No, it means it's built differently. Its roots go deeper. Its strength is greater. It was never meant to bloom fast. It was meant to last long. That's how you must see yourself. Your journey isn't supposed to match someone else's. Your growth is not supposed to be rushed. When you compare, you lose sight of your own value. You start copying instead of creating. You trade your authenticity for applause. And that's a price too high. The comparison trap also breeds insecurity and resentment. You might begin to judge others unfairly just to make yourself feel better. Or worse, you might start playing small around others because you feel intimidated. Either way, you're no longer operating in your truth. And the tragedy is that while you're envying someone else's success, someone else is admiring you for the very things you take for granted. That's the irony. Everyone's looking at everyone else, feeling like they're not enough. You have to understand that real success is not a race, it's a rhythm. And that rhythm is deeply personal. It's about becoming better than who you were yesterday, not better than who someone else is today. When you let go of comparison, you open the door to peace. You stop running someone else's marathon and begin walking confidently in your own direction. You celebrate others without questioning your own worth. You become inspired by people without being threatened by them. That's freedom. The antidote to comparison is gratitude. When you focus on what's good in your life, you stop obsessing over what's missing. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that your journey has value, even if it looks different. You also have to practice self-awareness. The moment you catch yourself comparing, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or just making me feel less? If it's the latter, redirect your attention. Refocus on your goals, your values, your purpose. Stay in your lane. Protect your peace. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not lacking. You are on a path that was made for you. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the fullest, boldest version of you. So honor your timeline. Own your gifts. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. And remember, the only comparison that matters is between who you are now and who you're becoming. That's the only race worth running. The instant gratification trap is one of the most dangerous obstacles in today's fast-paced world. It convinces you that success should come quickly, reward should be immediate, and if it takes too long, it's not worth it. This mindset sabotages long-term progress by chasing short-term pleasure. We live in a culture that celebrates speed, fast food, instant results, overnight fame, but what we forget is that anything truly meaningful, truly lasting, takes time. Success isn't a microwave meal. It's a slow-cooked process that requires patience, discipline, and resilience. When you're constantly seeking the next quick fix, you rob yourself of the satisfaction that comes from enduring the process. The truth is, the most valuable things in life are built over time. Character, wisdom, mastery, relationships, none of these can be rushed. When you give in to the need for instant results, you start avoiding anything that demands effort. You switch goals the moment things get hard. You lose focus because the dopamine hits of quick wins become more important than the deep fulfillment of real achievement. But fulfillment doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance. It's earned, not given. Instant gratification also trains your mind to expect comfort. And when comfort becomes your priority, growth becomes optional. That's why so many people stay stuck. They avoid the pain of discipline only to suffer the pain of regret later. But the truth is, you either choose the pain of discipline today or the pain of disappointment tomorrow. There is no escaping it. The price of success must be paid up front and in full. You don't get to swipe a credit card on your dreams and hope they deliver in 2 days. Long-term success requires you to delay the reward, to say no to the short-term pleasure so you can say yes to long-term purpose. This is what separates average from extraordinary. Anyone can get excited at the beginning. Anyone can show up when results are immediate. But very few are willing to keep going when the results are invisible. That's where the real test begins. Can you stay committed even when no one is clapping? Can you keep working when progress is slow? That's what builds greatness. No. The greatest achievers in history were people who understood the value of process. They didn't expect instant results. They understood that the seeds they plant today might not bear fruit for months or even years, but they planted anyway because they trusted the process more than their feelings. Your feelings will tell you to quit. Your feelings will scream that it's taking too long, but your future self will thank you if you keep going. You have to rewire your mindset to see delay not as a denial, but as preparation. Every moment of waiting is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, better. The waiting season is not a wasted season. It's where foundations are built. And if you rush the foundation, the structure won't last. Don't just chase results. Chase resilience. Chase the kind of growth that can withstand storms. That kind of strength doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from staying when it would be easier to quit. The instant gratification trap will always try to pull you off course. It will whisper, "Why wait? Take the shortcut." But every shortcut has a cost. And that cost is depth, integrity, mastery. The question is, do you want it fast or do you want it forever? Because those two rarely come together. So commit to the process. Honor the slow days. Celebrate consistency over intensity. And remind yourself every day, quick wins fade, but steady work compounds. The success you build with patience is the success that lasts. The perfectionism trap disguises itself as ambition, but in reality it is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. It tells you that unless something is flawless, it's not worth doing. That unless you can guarantee success, you shouldn't even start. Perfectionism paralyzes progress. It convinces you to delay, overthink, and second-guess every step. And while you wait for the perfect time, the perfect skill set, the perfect conditions, life moves on without you. Opportunities pass. Dreams fade. Potential stays locked inside. Perfectionism makes you a prisoner of your own expectations. It doesn't allow room for mistakes, for growth, or for learning. But here's the truth. Growth is messy. Mastery is built on failure. Excellence is a result of effort over time, not perfection in a moment. The people who succeed are not the ones who did everything perfectly. They're the ones who started when they felt uncertain, kept going when it got hard, and embraced imperfection as part of the journey. Perfection is not the standard. Progress is. The perfectionism trap also creates anxiety and burnout. When you place impossible standards on yourself, nothing ever feels good enough. You finish a task and immediately think of what could have been better. You accomplish something meaningful but downplay it because it wasn't flawless. This constant pressure steals your peace and robs you of joy. It turns achievement into stress and creativity into self-criticism. But life was never meant to be lived like that. You were not created to be perfect. You were created to grow, to improve, to evolve. You must shift your mindset from perfection to purpose. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow? Is this moving me forward? That's the metric that matters. Don't wait for flawless. Aim for finished. Aim for real. Aim for meaningful. Done is better than perfect. Showing up, even imperfectly, beats hiding in preparation. every single time. Because action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. But perfectionism keeps you stuck in theory. It makes you brilliant in private, but invisible in public. There's also a deep link between perfectionism and self-worth. Many people believe that they must perform flawlessly to be accepted, to be valued, to be enough. But that's a lie. Your worth is not tied to your performance. You have to earn your value. It's already in you. You are worthy because you exist, not because you meet some impossible standard. The moment you embrace that truth, you start creating from freedom instead of fear. You start living from authenticity instead of anxiety. Understand that mistakes are not setbacks, they're stepping stones. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once clumsy. You will never arrive at greatness by avoiding imperfection. You arrive by learning, adjusting, trying again. If you only act when things are perfect, you'll miss 99% of the opportunities life gives you. Perfectionism will have you editing the same paragraph for years while someone else shares their message, builds their dream, and changes lives. Not because they were better, but because they were brave enough to be imperfect. Release the pressure. Progress is messy. Learning is uncomfortable. Growth is awkward. But all of it is necessary. Your journey won't be flawless, but it will be worth it. The more you embrace your imperfections, the more powerful you become. Because your courage to be seen, even with flaws, gives others permission to do the same. You become a light, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. So silence the voice that says you're not ready, quiet the critic that demands flawlessness, and take action. Your future is not waiting on your perfection. It's waiting on your participation. Be bold enough to begin, messy enough to grow, and wise enough to know that perfection was never the goal. Progress always was. The approval-seeking trap is a silent thief of authenticity and progress. It convinces you that your value comes from being accepted, liked, or validated by others. It teaches you to shape your identity around opinions, to adjust your actions to meet expectations, and to silence your own voice just to gain applause. But in doing so, you lose the most important thing you have. And when your decisions are constantly filtered through the question, what will people think? You are no longer living for your purpose. You're performing for approval. And no matter how much praise you receive, it never feels enough, because the approval you crave is external. You have to understand that seeking approval is a moving target. What pleases one person will disappoint another. You cannot win at this game. You'll find yourself bending, adjusting, overcompensating, only to realize that no matter how hard you try, someone will still criticize, misunderstand, or disapprove. And the truth is, their opinion of you is none of your business. What truly matters is your opinion of yourself. Who are you when the applause fades? Who are you when no one is watching? That's your truth. That's your foundation. When you constantly seek approval, you delay your growth. You avoid taking bold steps because you fear disapproval. You water down your dreams to make others comfortable. You say yes when your heart is screaming no just to avoid conflict or rejection. But every time you do that, you disconnect from your inner compass. You ignore your own wisdom. And the cost of that is far too high. You weren't born to live on borrowed opinions, and the cost of that is far too high. You weren't born to live on You were born to stand in your truth, even when it's unpopular, even when it's misunderstood. The most powerful people in history weren't the most liked, they were the most authentic. They didn't live to please people, they lived to fulfill purpose. Approval was never their goal, impact was. And here's the irony. When you stop chasing approval and start being authentic, the right people are drawn to you. The ones who align with your vision, respect your boundaries, and support your growth. You no longer have to perform, you just have to be. You must realize that your worth is not up for debate. It's not based on likes, comments, or applause. It's not defined by others.